In this video, I want to share what to look for before you commit to any sound healing training, so you don't end up trained but still unable to do the most basic thing this practice depends on. Most people at this stage either still doubt that sound healing actually works, or they have no real way to tell a genuine teacher from somebody who pieced it together from books and a weekend course. But you don't need to be an expert to tell the difference. You need to experience the practice first and then trace where it actually came from. I learned this myself by going straight to Nepal, one of the only places in the world where the authentic Himalayan art of sound meditation is still taught in its original form, and finding a real teacher there. In this video, I show you why authenticity matters, why you should experience a session before you commit to learning it, where this knowledge actually comes from, the sign of shallow teaching, and the exact questions to ask before you commit to any training. This is part 2 of our 5-part series on what it takes to become a confident, authentic sound healing practitioner. If you missed part 1, go check it out. It covers the one thing that stops most people from starting in the first place. You've decided this is for you. You're not held back by doubt anymore. But now you're facing a different problem. There are training programs everywhere, websites that look professional, instructors with nice photos and confident claims, and you have no real way to know which ones are the legit ones and which one leave you stuck. Most people try to solve this the obvious way. They research, they read reviews, they look at photos, they watch a few promotional videos. It feels productive, but none of it actually tells you whether the training is real. You cannot tell from a website whether someone genuinely knows what they are doing. The real way to know is not to research more. It is to experience it first. Receive a session yourself. Feel what it actually works on your own body. Then, once you know it's real, trace where it actually comes from. Not the credentials on a certificate, but the actual lineage behind the practice. This works because experience cut through marketing instantly. Either you feel something or you don't. That is not something you can fake on a website. Here at Jangala, I see it all the time. Students come to us after training somewhere else. They finish a course. They have a certificate. They are technically trained. And then they tell me the same thing, almost word for word. I tried so hard to make the bowl sing, but it never works. They don't even know the difference between a high tone and a low tone. They just rub, they just strike, and nothing happened. So they go home, they try to work with clients, and the client lays down, expecting to relax, and instead, nothing happens. The client says, I can't relax, and the practitioner feels insecure. They feel like a fraud. But here is the truth. It was never their fault. It was the training that failed them. This is the real cost of shallow teaching. It's not that you missed a few extra tips. It's that you can't walk away from a real course with a real certificate and still not know how to do one single most basic thing this entire practice depends on. That is why authenticity matters. Not because it sounds nice, because without it you can do everything right and still end up unable to actually help anyone. Before you ever sign up for any training, do one thing first. Receive a session. Lie down. Let someone with real experience work on you. Feel what actually happens in your body. This matters because no amount of research, no website, no testimonial can tell you what a real session feels like. You have to experience it yourself. And once you do, you will know 2 things. First, whether this practice actually works, not as an idea, but as something real you just felt. Second, whether this is something you want to do for yourself, something you want to learn so you can give that same experience to other people. If you skip this step and go straight into training, you are committing your time and your money to something you have only read about. You are trusting marketing instead of your own experience. Feel it first, Then you decide. Once you have felt that this practice is real, the next step is understanding where it actually comes from. The roots of this practice go back to the Himalayan places like Nepal and Tibet, where sound has been used for healing, meditation, and rituals for centuries, passed down through real lineage, not inverted recently for the wellness market, not something pieced together from a few books, videos. Most sound healing taught in the West today is simplified, repackaged version, stripped of the depth, the philosophy, and often the technique that makes it actually work. Now, I know that not everyone can travel to Nepal themselves. I went there myself to learn directly from the source, but you don't have to fly there to find the real thing. You just have to know how to trace it. A few direct questions will tell you everything. Where did your teacher learn this? And who did they learn from? Can you trace this back through an actually lineage? Or is it self-taught from book and videos? How long did you study before you start teaching others? If a teacher cannot answer this clearly, that does not necessarily mean they are fake, but it means the knowledge they're passing on is probably missing the depth that comes from a real tradition. Behind the lineage questions, there are practical signs that tell you a training is shallow before you even sign up. The first is a teacher who teaches but doesn't real practice. Many centers spend almost all of their time running courses and certifying new students, but very little time actually doing the work themselves with real clients on a daily basis. At Jangala, it is the opposite. 90% of our time is spent in active practice. Teachings come second because we are doing this work every single day. The second sign is training that is mostly theory. A real program has to include hands-on practice, not just understanding the theory, history, and philosophy, but actually learning session setup and client aftercare. Many programs skip this completely. You finish trained, but you still don't know how to actually run a session from start to finish. And the third sign, the most basic one, is whether the training even covers the fundamentals properly. Can you make the ball sing by the end of it? If you can't, nothing else you learned matters yet. So when you are looking at any training, ask yourself, is this person actually practicing or just teaching? Is this hands-on or just theory? And does it cover the real fundamentals, not just the surface? Everything we covered in this video can feel like a lot of hold onto. So let me give you something concrete. A set of questions you can actually use. These are not just questions for this video. You can take them with you and see them, use them for any training you are considering anywhere, with any teacher. Ask these questions, get the answers, and you will know clearly whether that training is genuine or whether it's missing the depth this practice actually requires. Here are they. Where did you learn this? And who did you learn from? Can you trace this back through a real lineage, or is it self-taught from books and videos? How much of your own time is actually spent practicing, not just teaching? Does the training include hands-on practice, or is it mostly theory? Does it cover session setup and client aftercare, or just the basic of sound? Write this down. Bring them with you. Ask them before you pay anything. If the answers are vague, or if the teacher gets defensive, that tells you something. If the answers are clear, specific, and backed by real experience, that's a good sign. You have found something genuine. This is your tool now. Use it for any training, any teacher, any program you come across from here on. Maybe you are still wondering what authentic sound healing actually looks and feels like before you go searching for any training at all. Ploy and I put together a free 60-minute sound healing and therapy masterclass. We walk you through the roots of Himalayan sound healing, the different types of balls and how to use each one effectively, and how to actually make healing sounds even if you never touch a ball in your life. You'll find the link below, and it's completely free to access. You now know what to look for, and you have the questions to ask before you commit to any training. Knowing how to find the right training is only half the picture. Once you have found it, the real work begins. And that's where most people actually struggle. Not in the learning, but in what happens after. That's what we cover in the next video. If you want to follow along with the series, make sure you subscribe. The next video is coming soon. See you in the next one.